The movie begins with a mission on the sun. Dr. Quintum is determined to acquire a fire sample from the sun to do further research on it. However, the mission seems to be compromised as the ship's gravity shields are failing, and they are about to fall directly into the sun. Given the situation, Dr. Quintum is doing whatever needs to be done until one of his genetically engineered subjects eliminates his own acquaintance. It seems as if it is out of control, and about that the subject says that he is the eternal sleep, courtesy of Lex Luthor. It is confirmed by this point that Luthor has something to do with this, but right now, the important thing is to save Dr. Quintum. Conversely, Lois is writing a news article about Superman saving a mission crew on Sun. While she is writing, a colleague approaches her by saying that this incident never happens. Lois tells him that she always writes what is about to happen. Soon Jimmy enters the scene by telling him that he looked up at Superman's signal watch. Shortly afterward, Perry White begins telling his employee about Lex Luthor's interventions. Luthor has invested heavily in water rights, and recently he has created heavy water shortages by tampering with the sun. Perry White will print this. Clark Kent's story will be on the first page tomorrow. Lex Luthor, on the other side, seems to be doing something unusual. A cop approaches him while saying that Daily Planet wants him to speak regarding his intentions. He then asks Luthor about what's he doing, to which Luthor says that he is remotely controlling a weapon. The cop tries to stop him as he doesn't allow this, and about then Luthor begins to threaten him while Dr. Quintum and his team are on the verge of eternal sleep. The weapon is about to explode in 30 seconds, but before everything dooms, Superman arrives to save the day. He tells Quintum to blow the hatch, and then throws the monster into the sun. The ship is about to strike the sun, but luckily, Superman makes his own bioelectric field and saves them. The scene quickly shifts to Dr. Quintum's moon base where Superman is doing an experiment, and to Quintum's surprise, he has crossed 3 times his own record by lifting 600 quintillion tons. It seems that Superman has gained a huge boost in his powers. Dr. Quintum then theorizes that Sun has given him all powers, and this time his body is overexposed, causing his cells to be oversaturated with power. Dr. Quintum becomes silent after saying this, and Superman understands that he is about to pass away. Quintum feels guilty as Luthor has used him to eliminate Superman, but he also raises hope by saying that he will do everything in his power to save Superman. However, Superman doesn't care about anything at this point, and instructs Dr. Quintum not to tell anyone about his condition. After that, Lex Luthor is arrested again for the attempted murder charges, and on the other side, Clark and Lois spend the whole day with each other. When Clark drops Lois at her apartment, he makes up his mind to tell the truth, and the next moment he just simply shows his Superman suit to her. She becomes shocked, and then Superman flies her to his secret fortress guarded by robots. His fortress has keys that are made up of a dwarf star and weighs billions of tons. He then shows him his collection which he has gathered from his enemy, like the kryptonite laser gun and the gravity gun. After that, he shows her his unique pet named Sun Eater. While Sun Eater is eating suns, Lois steps out to check a classified room. She gets scared after seeing his robot doing research on her genes. Although Lois doubts Clark of being Superman, but still, it is too much for her to process, and soon she loses it and shoots him with a kryptonite laser gun. Superman is prone to kryptonite, but after overexposure to Earth's sun, he is too strong to be affected by this weapon. Clark notices by this moment that Lois is doubting his intentions, so he brings her to the classified research lab and shows her a suit that he has made for her birthday. Furthermore, he has researched her genes and made a serum that will give her powers similar to his. Lois drinks the serum, and shortly afterward, she is seen flying. While Superman and Super Lois are flying and enjoying their day together, Superman receives a signal from Jimmy's watch. It's the reptiles from Earth's core, and they have invaded the city. So, they both head toward them, and before they can reach, Samson intervenes in the timeline and starts beating the reptiles into a pulp. While Samson is flirting with Lois, Atlas is seen knocking out other reptiles. Then, they both start flirting with Lois until Clark suggests that they should take the reptiles back to where they all belong. So, after handing over the reptiles to their leader, Samson takes Lois aside and gifts her a necklace of Ultra Sphinx. Clark then begins to converse with Samson, as he doesn't like him because wherever he goes, trouble follows him. He asks Samson what he can do to make him go back to his timeline. Samson shows him a piece of futuristic news about Superman's passing, and he says that Superman has one more epic battle to win before his eternal sleep. About then, Lois's necklace starts glowing, and he asks Atlas to tell him that they have borrowed this necklace from Ultra Sphinx, and he is about to get here for revenge. As soon as Atlas says this prophecy, Ultra Sphinx arrives and puts Lois in a state of quantum uncertainty. Ultra Sphinx wants them to return the necklace, but to save Lois, Superman has to answer an unanswerable question. He asks Clark what happens when an irresistible force meets an immovable object. Clark isn't finding any luck to answer this, but suddenly he remembers the headline in the newspaper, and he answers that they will surrender. Ultra Sphinx smiles and accepts the answer by returning Lois to him. Still, Atlas and Samson are after Lois, so they hand battle Clark for her and lose the moment the match starts. After this, Clark and Lois fly to the moon and kiss. After some memorable scenes of his love life, Clark is off to meet Lex Luthor while being disguised as a reporter. Lex Luthor begins to educate him about humanity. According to Luthor, Superman has a natural power, and he isn't qualified to be a hero by hard work. He then shows Clark the muscles which he has built by working hard. Moreover, Luthor tells him that the world is better without him, and that he can save the world on his own. During their conversation, they pass by a monster cell that can sense and suck out others' powers. Initially, he tries to go after Luthor as they are enemies, but when the monster sees Clark's power, he breaks out of prison. Luthor and Clark run to the prison mess where Luthor meets more of his enemies. However, before they could go after him, the parasite arrives on the scene and begins massacring everyone. About then, a team of cops arrives to withhold the parasite, but it's of no use as the parasite is eliminating them, and moreover, the prisoners start attacking them too. The cops retreat from the field and begin to throw tear gas from above. Clark starts coughing and gets lost in the gas while Luthor thinks of him as an idiot. Soon, Clark uses his powers to save the prisoners and cops from the parasite's wrath. He even saves Luthor's life before they both escape the prisoners' mess. While they run for their lives, Clark sees the parasite through the wall and halts Luthor. The parasite breaks through the wall and stops him from chasing by breaking the floor. He tells Luthor that it's an earthquake, and fortunately, Luthor believes him. Luthor then takes Clark to a secret escape passage. Clark asks him that he can escape whenever he wants, so why doesn't he just get away? After hearing this, Luthor says that he wants to tell the world that he eliminates Superman, and Clark will be the one who will help him to tell the world. He then introduces Clark to his niece, Nastalthia. She takes Clark outside, and while the plot is about to change, Clark seems to be thinking as if he needs to give Luthor a chance to look after the Earth in which there is no Superman. The plot shifts to Clark and Lois. Clark is determined to restore his Krypton city to some other habitable planet before he passes away. He even confesses his situation to Lois, however, she is in denial. She tells him to go because she believes that he will return and they will have children. Clark tells her that their chemistry is too much different and they will not have any kids. Lois is still in denial, and Clark flies out to another planet. After successfully completing the mission, he crashes lands which depict that his conditioning is worsening too soon. He then flies to Metropolis, and as the city is in ruins, he stresses out. He then rushes to his office to find out the reason. It turns out that two of Krypton's astronauts, Bar-El and Lilo, who were lost in space, have just arrived on Earth after chasing Superman's ship's prints. Superman approaches them and says that he is happy to see them. However, they have no interest in Superman. They even disgust him because he hasn't built Krypton on Earth. As Bar-El and Lilo are planning to build Earth into Krypton, Superman says that he has been raised among humans, and they are like his new family. After that, Bar-El and Lilo fly to Clark's fortress. Clark chases them only to find out that his fortress security has been compromised, and moreover, they have torn down his parents' statue. At that point, Superman tells them that he was happy after seeing them, as he thought they would replace him. But they don't have the best interests of this planet's people at heart. After hearing this, the duo disgusts him even more, and they begin to beat him into a pulp. They even break the moon and leave no choice for Superman but to disguise themselves as Clark Kent again. Bar-El and Lilo chase him to Daily Planet's building, but before Lilo can attack, she fades out. Superman saves him from striking the ground, and before Bar-El can do anything, he gets the same symptoms. Superman screens Lilo and finds out that they have chased him through his ship's path, and unfortunately, they pass through Krypton's debris field. Superman has no other option but to save them, and with their consent, he puts them into the Phantom Zone, so they could live a happy life there. After that, Superman visits Luthor and informs him that it's now a chance to prove everything. As Luthor was saying, he could save the Earth if Superman hadn't been in his way. Clark gives him a chance to do it now, but all Luthor does is spit on him. So, Clark leaves, and the scene shifts to when Luthor is about to be executed. After getting electrified, everyone thinks that he is gone for good. But unfortunately, he has stolen a serum from Clark's fortress by controlling his robot number 7. He eliminates everyone in the room, and as Clark is writing his last journal entry, Luthor escapes and visits Nastalthia. He tells him to distract Superman with his controlling weapons while he goes to strike him. Nastalthia asks him why he bothers all this if he has powers. Luthor then says that she hasn't seen him in a fight, and that's why he is doing some extra insurance. He further adds that unlike him, Superman loses his powers under red sunlight. While he is conversing with Nastalthia, the sky depicts red, and soon it turns out that Luthor has made arrangements with his secret ally, Solaris. While Solaris is asking Superman to come out for a fight, Clark is seen in a white protective suit, and while he is getting out to confront his last enemy, his robot decides to fight beside him. So, Superman along with his robots flies to strike him. Solaris thinks that Clark shouldn't have any powers by this point, but then he sees Clark's protective suit and begins to attack with heat to destroy it. All robots pass away, and in the end, Clark gets a direct hit. However, before he falls, his pet, the Sun Eater, protects him. The Sun Eater grabs Solaris to eat him, but Solaris eliminates him first. At this point of the story, Superman goes mad and starts beating Solaris until he passes away for good. Clark then rushes to his office to update the news article about Superman's eternal sleep before passing out. Shortly afterward, Luthor arrives there, and as he is frightening everyone, Jimmy throws an article that depicts how Solaris has turned the sun into the blue. Lois calls him an idiot, and after hearing this, Luthor attacks him. He then says who is acting more like a powerful man on Earth. Clark gets up while raising a hand, and then he shoots Luthor with a gravity gun, making him 500 times heavier. Then a fight breaks down between Superman and Luthor, which Luthor wins pretty easily due to his newly developed powers, 500 times more gravity, and Superman's weakness. Luthor then drags Superman to the middle of the city where he says that he will move to the White House later and make his declaration as a Supreme. As the plot goes a little further, he begins to see minor details of the universe, the molecules, atoms, and the electromagnetic spectrum. He is thrilled after seeing this, and about then, Superman turns the table again by saying that he is losing his powers due because gravity gun has made his time faster. Luthor made more serums too, but fortunately, Superman got it and destroys it for good. Luthor says that he could make everyone stronger with this, and he could save the Earth, but Superman scolds him by saying he could have saved the Earth years ago. Hearing this, Luthor finally gives up and starts feeling guilty. Superman is transforming into pure energy, but before his eternal sleep, he has one more chance to save the world. He bids farewell to his love, and flies to the sun and strikes it, which results in a change in the sun's light from blue to yellow. Superman passes away, but Lois doesn't believe it. She thinks that he is up to save the sun and will return soon. At this point of the story, Dr. Quintum visits Luthor, who is still feeling guilty, and it seems that he has a change of heart. He confesses his wrongdoings shortly before giving Quintum a research book on Superman. It turns out that Luthor has researched Superman's genes, and they can now replicate his genes. This means that the world will have a new Superman. Dr. Quintum smiles after going through the research, and the movie ends with Dr. Quintum saying that Superman and Lois always wanted to have kids.